Happy Tuesday, everyone. Welcome to the wonderful city of Haverhill. Mayor, thank you so much for inviting us yet again to celebrate April as Donate Life Month. We're here to bring attention to organ and tissue donation, hear the wonderful stories of individuals personally touched and the heroes that they have become, who become donors, and also recognize the important role that the state of Massachusetts, and in fact all states, play in presenting this question to the state, to the general public. 99.6% of all people who register as organ and tissue donors do so at the RMV. We're pleased here in Haverhill to have an RMV right here in City Hall, which is fantastic. The community can come very easily. Parking is ample to come and get and or renew your driver's license. That question, would you like to register as an organ and tissue donor, is a voluntary question. That being said, it is not a neutral question. Both the state and federal government strongly supports that effort and provides it on a state documentation that's seen by the vast majority of people, so we greatly appreciate it. I also want to thank the Massachusetts Department of Public Health, who right now is doing a statewide campaign educating people regarding organ and tissue donation. We have billboards, radio, and TV indicating that you can register at any age. 50, 60, 70, 80, and even 90. We want you to register as an organ and tissue donor. We want the doctors and nurses to be able to provide life for the 115,000 people waiting on the waiting list. If you go to registerme.org/MA, there are two fantastic videos that the Department of Public Health has presented. Mayor, thank you again. This literally is, I believe, the 6th or 7th year in a row that you've taken time out of your busy schedule to recognize as April as Donate Life Month and to provide a venue for individuals to share their stories. So, Mayor, thank you so much for your time here today.
Thanks very much, Matt. I got so excited one time when you gave your speech, I went online and immediately signed up to be an organ donor. So I guess I'm one of the 0.4% that didn't go to the registry. But this is so important. We know there are over 100,000 people on the list, so anybody that's listening that sees this on cable TV, please sign up to be an organ donor. I have some citations. I have a proclamation for New England Donor Services officially declaring this as Organ Donor Month, and I'd like to present that to you, Matt.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
And for the Massachusetts Registry of Motor Vehicles, we have an official citation. Who's here from the registry? Anybody?
They're serving the public right now downstairs.
All right, so I'll present that to you, Matt. To you,
I'll
Matt.
give that to them. Thank you.
And I want to thank and recognize all of the people who are organ donors. You've saved so many lives, and I know we're going to hear some wonderful stories today. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, thank you so much, and I know Erin Devaney really does appreciate this. If you go into her office, which I've been in once or twice, she has these all over her office and recognize the important role that her staff do in presenting that question. Lives can be saved through organ donation. We have thousands of individuals today whose lives are saved because someone has become an organ donor. We indicate that people who are donors are true heroes. In today's world of TVs and movies, people with capes are identified as organ donors. The real hero is individuals who give selflessly. And we've got some very compelling stories of individuals who were donors and family members who are going to talk about them. But City Councilor LePage, thank you so much for your wonderful advocacy and support for organ donation, the wonderful leadership you provide here for the city of Haverhill. Thank you so much, Colin.
Thank you, Matt, and thank you all. My entire immediate family are organ donors. I have the cards, I have my license. I actually, before coming to this event, I looked at my mother who passed when she was 77, and she had it. So anyone can do this. I'll just quickly tell you of one of my sons' organ donation, and this is the letter we received from the recipient. It basically says, "Dear family, I'm writing to offer my condolences to you, your family and friends. I understand the space left void when a loved one has passed. I am the man who received your son's liver. My name is David. I am 62 years old with 3 adult children, 2 adult grandchildren, and 1 great-granddaughter who just turned 1 January 8th, 2016. I am a pastor, author, guitarist, singer, and songwriter. I received a PhD in pastoral counseling and now am in the process of pursuing certification as a, quote, licensed clinical pastoral counselor, advanced certification from a biblical faith-based approach. This would be impossible were it not for your donation. Again, that's not my donation, that's my son, Chris. I have worked in this field for many years as a secular substance abuse clinician in our local prison trying to help inmates understand the source and root of their challenges, i.e. addictions and addictive behavior. I understand their challenges because I was also challenged with substance abuse issues. And as folks know, that would be very ironic and very comforting that that's where my son's liver is. I want to say thank you and wanted you to know the good that will be done in thousands of lives because of your donation. A part of him now lives in me, and whenever I stand to speak, I say thank you, Lord, for this family who I am connected to in a way that is nothing short of a miracle. I'll be praying daily for your family. I thank you again. I pray someday we may meet. God bless you. Sincerely grateful, David. Thank you.
Councilor LePage, thank you so much for sharing that letter. We talked to a lot of individuals who've received transplants, and they relay to me, it says, what do you say for the gift of life? And that thank you goes a long way to family members who are grieving the loss of a loved one, but realize that they were heroes and saved someone else's life. So sharing that letter is very touching. Thank you so much for that. We're here to hear another story about an individual who saved individuals' lives, and just the force of nature that Heidi is, who's really enlightened my life and is such a fabulous individual. Thank you so much for spending time to share your story, Heidi.
Thanks, Matt. This is my son, Travis Yell. He passed away October 20th of 2014, crossing the street late at night at Bentley College. He wasn't feeling well and was trying to make his way to his car to go to the hospital. And unfortunately, he was hit tragically in the process. But my story about Travis started when he got his license. And I hope a lot of families, are listening and will encourage their children the way I did mine. When Travis went to go get his license, I asked him to please be an organ donor, and he asked me why. And my explanation was that basically if there was anything that ever was to happen to him that he needed an organ, there's nothing more I would want in the world than to know that somebody's organ could save his life. And I just went on to explain to him that it's unfortunate that one family's loss is someone else's gain. And the sacrifice that's made to save so many lives by being a donor. And that unfortunately when you pass away, it's just your shell that remains. But your organs can go on to live in someone else and save those other families from suffering that same pain and loss. And with that being said, he thought that made enough sense and signed up. Travis was able to save 4 lives. His heart went to a gentleman that was 70 years old. I met him Mother's Day of last year. That was my Mother's Day gift, was to hear my son's heart again. It was very touching, emotional, but at the same time I was very thankful and grateful to be able to experience that. The gentleman that received his heart, the average person's usually in the hospital like 4 weeks after a heart transplant. He went home a week later. He was off the charts in the hospital on recovery, and he was able to go back to work 4 weeks later. So he's an architect. He's an amazing guy, and I'm very thankful to be able to say that he's part of my life now. I have heard from 2 of the other recipients, which I still need to reply back to, but I am looking forward to meeting them also. The 4th recipient never replied back, but, it's a very emotional situation to endeavor, and even as a recipient, like, what do you say? Thanks just doesn't always seem to be enough for them, but, I'm grateful to be able to hopefully meet the other 2 recipients shortly, And, you know, I'm grateful my son was an organ donor, and part of him still lives on. But it's very important. You know, a lot of people don't realize you don't need to be asked, but unfortunately, you do have to ask because people aren't aware. It's very, very important, the need out there for organ donation and tissue donations. So hopefully, after today, the numbers will increase and more people will be signing up. But thank you again, Matt, wherever you are. Thank you.
Heidi, thank you so much. Your and Colin's stories are very inspiring. In a lot of ways, those are among the most important stories. Individual who received a heart or a lung and a liver, that's a great story. It's a little bit of an obvious story because they're alive today. These stories of resilience and people who've passed away, living on through others and being true heroes to save someone else's life, that's very compelling. And have people get up and share a tough situation and encourage people to register inspires me greatly. So thank you so much. As discussed, there is over 115,000 people today waiting for a life-saving organ. Sadly, people are dying today. 21 people will die today because of this healthcare epidemic. This situation is unique in public health in two ways. A, we're not looking for a cure. We know what that cure is, and that is to register as an organ tissue donor. Two, when we talk about donation, we're not talking about a financial donation. We're talking about you saying yes and registering as an organ and tissue donor, either at the RMV or on registerme.org. That heart in your license means that you do have a heart, and then if needed, you would give your heart to someone else if it is no longer useful. So two quick things. Police, fire, EMT do a fantastic job of one thing, getting you from an event to a hospital as quickly as possible. They have no say in the organ donation process. Emergency room doctors and nurses do a great job of one thing, saving your life. They have no say in the organ donation process. Organ donation can only happen in a hospital setting. If you pass away outside of a hospital, sadly, you will not be considered as an organ donor. Two, organ donation only occurs after the OPO, Organ Procurement Organization. There are 58 OPOs in the United States as identified by Congress. We are the only ones who can identify people as organ and tissue donors. So the idea of, oh, I'd like to go in the hospital and get better, but I don't want them to take my organs. There is no mechanism for that to happen. So that's one of the myths and misconceptions that are out there. Additionally, the Department of Public Health has identified one that we've seen a lot. You can register at any age. Not to get vastly political in a political time, but former Vice President Dick Cheney received a heart transplant at age 72. And Colin LePage's son donated to an individual at 62 years old, and he is living today for that. So we want everyone to register. Let the doctors and nurses identify that. We're not going to transplant an organ that is worse than the one that individual has. So again, the state plays a significant role in this. We're so pleased to have the elected official here, Representative Campbell, talk about organ donation, and appreciate your time here for this important event.
Great cause, Matt.
Great,
Thank you. Great job. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
It's the personal stories that explain it all. I would just add to what has been said and not repeated, and that is every 10 to 12 minutes, someone is added to the donor list, and my understanding is about 5,000 people in New England waiting for a donor. And the other aspect of all of this is that most donations are served locally. They are provided locally for obvious medical reasons, and so it is, I think, amazing that the RMV has been so successful. And I think one of the reasons that they are so successful is they have a very good ad campaign for this. Rightly so. It's one of, I think, good government working well. And I think it is something that is easily done. And the other thing that I would add is that I am the parent of young adults. And I can honestly say, being among young adults very often in my home and just speaking with them, they automatically sign up for donor registration. They just do it when they go to the RMV. They don't even think about it. All their friends do it, and they do it. So I think that gives us great hope in spite of the waiting list, but I think that it is going to increase as we ask the RMV to do more and more things. I think that we'll see more traffic through the RMV, and that is certainly going to be a benefit to what you do. So it's needed now more than ever, and I just have a citation from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, both for your organization, Matt, as well as the RMV. And as we know, the RMV is a very hopping place every moment. But this is to New England Donor Services in recognition of your outstanding efforts to help and educate and register the public as an owner and tissue donor. Signed by the legislative delegation, myself, Andy Vargas, Diana DiZoglio, and the Speaker of the House. So thank you for everything that you do. Okay? Everything you do. What you do works.
Thank you. I
Okay.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Fantastic. Mayor, Representative, City Councilor, and Heidi, thank you so much for your time to help educate the general public. I do want to thank Haverhill Community TV. You do a wonderful job of accessing the people, of the wonderful work that's going here at City Hall, working for the people. I am so glad, under the mayor's guidance, to proclaim that April is Donate Life Month in Haverhill. Learn more about organ donation at registerme.org, and thank you so much. Have a great day. Thanks again.